The WAFB Podcast Network is sponsored by Neighbors Federal Credit Union.
So there's a saying out there that I'm sure a lot of you have heard over the years at some point. A mentor has probably told you this at one point or another. Don't get too high, don't get too low. Life is full of ups and downs. Something to that effect. A lot of you, I'm sure, have heard that. Some of you maybe give that advice out to people when they're asking for advice. And that's what LSU football needs to compartmentalize mentally right now, I think, because you got to give the Tigers the flowers, right? I mean, they come in, they win a game that has extremely high stakes. They didn't do that in week one. They do it in Death Valley in a game that they had to have for the Tigers to have the kind of season they wanted to have coming in, the kind of season that really they're capable of having. Ole Miss was a must-win game. LSU got the job done. A top 10 victory, vaulting them back into the top 10. Serious college football playoff conversations can be had now. An SEC championship is still within grasp as well for this team because of that win. And when they had to make plays on fourth downs, they made the plays. The defense had its best game of the season. Give them all the credit in the world. But that win, that game, doesn't mean anything outside of Saturday and the field storming and really the party that it was. Doesn't mean anything if you go to Arkansas and you lose, or you go to Gainesville and lose, or you welcome in Oklahoma and lose. Like 5-1, top 10 win, you're now into the top 10. That's a great place to be at the midway point of the season. Everything you want to accomplish if you're LSU football can be accomplished still. Like your destiny is in your hands. You need to go out now and take care of business and keep it such that your destiny is in your control. Last year, that wasn't the case. LSU entered October already at 2 losses in the 4-team college football playoff. That all but eliminates you. This year, 1 loss. It's a 12-team playoff, so they really could afford 1 more loss and still make the playoff realistically. But still, the point of this video is to say that Saturday was a huge win. One you needed. Now what you do from here determines how much this team is remembered, how good this team is, and if this is a championship team. Because if 2024 LSU is a championship football team, you'll go to Fayetteville and get a win. You'll go to Kyle Field. I mean, that's a tough game. That's going to be a top 15 game. I'm not necessarily saying you have to win that game, but you'll go there and you're going to compete. You're not going to come and play your D, your C- performance. You're going to bring your best game and hope to win that game, obviously. But beyond that, you're going to play Alabama at home. That's a must-win. You'll welcome in Oklahoma to end the season. That's a must-win. You go to Gainesville. These are the games that will determine if you're another Citrus Bowl, ReliaQuest, whatever kind of bowl that doesn't have anything to do with the playoff, or if you are a playoff team and beyond that, a championship team. So I know a lot of fans are excited right now. Plenty were on Saturday. I was kind of just like, okay, that's good. Good job, good game, you played well. I'm not going to sit here and downplay it or anything like that. That's not the point of this video. I'm not downplaying what LSU did against Ole Miss whatsoever. But I want to remind you, the SEC is very, very strong this year. Sit down and think to yourself right now, who's the worst team in the conference? This year, you can't just blurt out Vanderbilt because the Commodores beat Alabama. They won another game last week. They look like a formidable team. You play them, by the way, in the penultimate game of the regular season, so don't sleep on them either. The fact that I didn't leave them, put them in there, don't forget about the Doors. There really isn't much of a bottom in the SEC this year. It might be South Carolina, who you beat by 3, you barely beat, you could have easily lost. Could be Kentucky, a team that upset Ole Miss just like you did. Almost beat Georgia, one of the best teams in the conference. So what I'm trying to say is that what you've accomplished to this point is great. It's good enough to get you in the playoff. But the next 6 weeks are going to be brutal. LSU could easily go 5-1, 4-2, or 1-5. Like, it could go a lot of different directions. How you present yourself in Fayetteville is going to give us a good indication of what kind of team you want to be, what kind of team you can be. Because if you go as a 3-point road favorite, a game where everybody, I think, is going to be picking Arkansas to win. I think a lot of people think this is a trap game. It's an emotional letdown spot, which frankly is disrespectful to Arkansas because they beat a top 10 team 2 weeks ago. They're a good team. This isn't 2018 Arkansas that, slugs its way to a 6-6 finish. Like, this is a good team. Can you go as a slight favorite and beat a talented football team in a very tough environment? You're going to have to do that 3 times down the stretch. You'll have to do it against Arkansas. You'll have to do it against A&M, and that's back-to-back weeks, by the way, those two. And then you'll have to do it against Florida later on in the season. So, look, this is good right now. That was a big win. You needed that one. If you lose that game, you really don't have any kind of discussions for anything important the rest of the season. It might even put you on a trajectory where you snowball and you end the season 7-5. But you got the win. That's cool. But you got to keep rolling. Like, each week to the end of the season is tough. There's no off week from now to the end. Every week, you got to bring your at least B- stuff to win football games. What I want to see now is if the defense shows up like it did against Ole Miss. If in the critical moments the offense comes alive, converts 4th downs, goes on a drive to win the game. Was that a one-hit wonder, or are we going to see that every game? That's what I'm curious about. So LSU fans, my message to you is this. Again, don't get too high. Don't get too low. Because right now you're 5-1. You want to talk that smack. You want to talk up this team as, hey, we're winning the SEC. We just beat Ole Miss. Yeah, but you got a lot of big games still to come. And it starts on Saturday against Arkansas. If LSU's a championship team, the Tigers will go to Fayetteville and they'll win. I don't care if it's pretty. I don't care if it's ugly. Win the football game. What you do in the second half of the season determines if you're just another 10-win team, if you're a second half season slide and you go 8-4 and you're just an also-ran, or if you go and you dominate and you control your destiny and you put yourself in the SEC championship discussion and secure your spot in the college football playoff. We're going to find a lot out between now and the end of November. It's going to be stressful, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So buckle up. That's what I'm telling you.